This video will provide a quick overview of how to produce reports using Kirix Strata. Strata makes it really easy to develop and tweak reports. It has a spreadsheet-like feel to it, but still gives you all the power that comes with a database. Because of this, Strata lets you push the envelope quite easily. For instance, you can create reports with millions of records directly from your Oracle or SQL Server system, and then you could apply that same report template to next week's data. Okay, so before we actually create a report, let's take a look at some of the basics. There are two views to a report. There's the layout view, which is like a print preview, and then there's the design view, which is a template that drives the report. When you make a change in one of the views, it propagates to the other. Similarly, if we make a change in the layout view, like column spacing here, it changes accordingly in the design view. Okay, let's create a report from scratch. One way to do this is to simply create a new blank report from the File menu. And then we'll add a report source table, and then we'll open up the field panel and add some fields. And then we'll do a little formatting, like adjusting columns. And finally, we'll remove some spaces between the rows. And there's a quick report. However, an even faster way to do this is to start by opening up your source table. Then you could select the fields that you want, and then select a new report, and the report is generated automatically. Okay, before we start formatting this report, let's talk a little bit about how the design template works. The page header and footer will always appear on the top and bottom of each page respectively. The detail section will appear until it runs out of records. So here we've changed the page header, and now we're adding a new footer, and we'll see what happens. As we see, the words vendor and bottom of page appear as expected, while the details section continues to the end of the report. We can add further report sections by opening the report settings dialog. Here we'll add a report header and footer, which appear only on the first page and last page of the report respectively. So we'll add a title to the report header, item cost report, and then a notice in the report footer. And there's the header, and as we scroll down, we can see the placement of our report footer. Okay, we're going to take a look at sorting fields in a report, and then we'll move on to grouping. So we'll open up the settings panel and simply sort ascending on the vendor name. In our layout view, we see the company names are indeed sorted from A to Z. Now that's fine, but all the company names just repeat in each row. So we'll clean this up by creating a group. We'll do this by checking the group header box in the report settings, which will add another item to our template. Similar to the other template elements, the group header will display each time a new group appears. Here we'll move the vendor name from the details section into the group section. And now we see the company name and each of its respective items for each group. While we're here, we'll adjust the column width. In addition, let's sort the cost of each item from highest to lowest. We'll open up our report settings like before and add in our item cost, and then sort descending. And now we have a report that lists the companies by group sorted from A to Z, and within those groups, all costs are sorted from highest to lowest. Okay, let's do a little formatting to clean up the presentation. First, we'll work on these field headers. We'll fine-tune the height of the page header, and then rename the fields, and then we'll make them bold. Okay, next we're going to add a description to the group name. We'll insert a column for spacing purposes, and then move the then name field to another cell, and then we'll type in the word vendor and set our column widths. And finally, we'll format the header by making the font size consistent, and then finally adding italics and a blue background. Okay, now we'll work on our header and footer. First, we'll resize the header, and then we'll make it bold, and then merge the cells and center it. And then we'll also resize the footer and center that. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Let's do a few more things to finish this up. First, we're going to add a page number. We'll do this by right-clicking in the footer and then adding the page number formula. And then we'll center it like before. And now page numbers appear on each page. Okay, we've already used a group header. Let's also use a group footer to create a calculation for the group. Here we'll add a formula that will calculate the average cost of the group of items. And then we'll add a description called average, and then we'll right justify it and make it red. And now for each group, we see the average cost of all items. As a side note, you can use a bunch of different formulas in your reports like sums, mins, and maxes. More detail on these, as well as other reporting tips and tricks, can be found in the help manual. Okay, now that we're happy with the way our report looks, we can save it to our project. In addition, we can also share the report with our colleagues by printing it or saving it to our computer as a PDF file. It's also important to note that every report is a template, separate from the actual data table. This means that if you have an updated data set or another table with the same structure, you can go ahead and use it as your report source file. Finally, you can use any data table in your project as a source file, whether that's a regular data table, a query, or a table from an external database such as Oracle, SQL Server, or MySQL. Well, that was a quick overview of creating reports in Kirix Strata. Please go ahead and download a free 30-day trial, give it a spin with your own data, and let us know what you think. Thanks.